Hello YouTube, Robin Hood Bricks here, and welcome to part 2 of our final tour of Brick Nottingham. This will be the last time you'll see this city intact before it is broken up for moving to the new Lego room for the new Brick Nottingham, which will be even bigger and even better. So it's kind of a bittersweet time in a way. It's wonderful to reminisce over all of the lovely builds we've done and all the fun we've had in this space. But also, yeah, this is going to be the last time you'll see it fully intact. So it is kind of a sad time as well. But what we did in part 1 was everything around the first standing hole. But there's still quite a lot that I need to show you from here of the second half before I duck under the tables for the last time and show you over there. One of the areas of variety that I like to include in a Lego city is having a lot of different types of building. For example, along here we've got open back buildings but against the wall as a facade. This row against the standing hole is largely open back so we can see the interiors, which I really like to do as long as they aren't visible from the main viewing angle, which in this case is the door just over here. Now they're going to be a lot harder to incorporate in the new city, given that we're going to have a much wider viewing angle, so that is going to require some serious thought. And then of course we've got the fully enclosed buildings like this row of modulars, including my own one, fast food corner, which we'll see better from the standing hole, and indeed our main station, which is another mashup of all of my favourite sort of 80s and 90s stations, with little bits stolen from each one and all the stickered prints with its incorporated news agent and its links up to the tram line, up the steps, which also is a sort of passover, and then we've got the subway steps going down into the depths where we can see hidden side Jack just coming out with his hoodie. So that is really good indeed. So yeah, I like to incorporate all sorts of different shapes of building, and the biggest one probably incorporating absolutely everything around it was my mall build, again that we'll see in a lot more detail from the front, but that incorporates the monorail line, loads of backward murals painted by our resident graffiti artists, and we've got Nyan Cat there. Also loads of 3D adverts with a great big mobile phone for the mobile phone store, and a tiki boat with some islanders in it to advertise our tiki bar right up there on the rooftop. So I absolutely love that. That is probably my favourite build, and something that I want to make sure is in pride of place in the new Lego room, but also to inspire, well, similar big scale builds that are involving lots of different commercial units and so on. That's what I think is best about that. But the view of this kind of open backed run is only really visible from over here, and we've got some great pieces used on our Japanese sushi restaurant and sumo, well, what would you call it? I don't know what they call them, there with its multi-layered roof, which is heavily lifted from a load of Ninjago sets. We've got our little Honeyduke sweet shop with the gummy bear kind of statues, or maybe they're people in costume, out the front, and a chocolate bar and so on. An arcade, which has got possibly my favourite ever 8-bit style Space Invader 3D sign on it. I mean, that is just fantastic. The arcade is something I definitely want to expand greatly in the new city. And then another one of my ideas submissions, but this time one that didn't make the full 10,000, was my GBC factory. So the front look is a very industrial building with a little sort of balcony there for the balls to experience some outdoor environment, and another nice big clear sign with the truck with its branding sticking its nose out of the garage that's being loaded up. The museum, which I really like actually. I mean, we could almost do that with another floor as well, with the robbery going on the roof. And then the hospital, inspired and extended from a regular set, but one that is unmistakable as well and looks absolutely great. So yeah, I love this view. I love that street, and I think the equivalent street in New City will probably be about twice, if not 3 times as long. Well, maybe that's over-egging it a little, and will look just as fabulous. So that is what you can see from over here that you can't see from over there. And while we're here, I think I'll look and give a quick summary of all of our lovely cargo wagons that we've done as well. We've got the mobile spinning cement wagon there. Then we've got completely hidden under here, one of my favourites actually, which is a shame we can't see it here, the beer tanker wagon with the barrels of beer on, and somebody, oh, you can kind of just see him through the gap there, enjoying a nice pint. We've got the subscriber sent in dynamite wagon, standard tipper one, my lovely chrome octane tanker. That was a relatively recent one, using some parts from a juniors set, and that is absolutely stunning. SSP in the house with a nice prison wagon, or a nasty prison wagon, depending how you look at it, oppressing the innocent. There's that T-Rex on its way to the Natural History Museum, on its over there. And then we've got another one of my favourites, which is the old shunter being transported on the back of a flatbed. And I just love the colouring and the striping using those old train doors for that one. And we've got our resident hobo living on the back there with his knapsack. So that's very nice. Some standard ones here, slightly modified octane double tank. Our space hopper wagon, which does have motion of them hopping around while the train is going, but it's quite noisy. And I've deactivated at the moment just because of the drag that it puts on the rest of the train when it's this long. So yeah, that is still pretty good fun though. GBC, there are those balls, those ginormous balls from the Ginormous Ball Corporation on their way to the rest of the world. Timber, a couple of container ones, goes right into there where we've got a crane one and a car transporter, so not too exciting. Onto the other train though. These will hopefully both be combined into a mega train that I think would already be too long for one loop of this city in the new city. So yeah, that's going to be a real fun experiment, and I've got even more ideas to add to it, so it's going to be possibly the longest, most diverse train in the LEGO universe. But anyway, there is our elephant transporter circus wagon with him eating a bunch of bananas. Some standard ones from sets, and there is a catapult for my medieval setup, which is being transported presumably to attack Brick Nottingham Castle, given they're the Black Falcons. So yeah, they obviously use train transport to get here from wherever they've come from. Brick Derby, who knows? Another one with some action on is our atomic wagon there with the spinning flames on the top. That definitely is on its way to Brick Derby to dump that. Then we've got cows, sheep, with a brilliant subscriber suggestion of the man in the wolf costume with a knife and fork. Absolutely love that. Our milk tanker, very nice. Our chocolate milk tanker, which is a bit silly, but good fun. A couple of standard ones. Then our torpedo wagon. This is probably my most favourite spinning one actually at the moment, just because the whole bit in the middle rotates as it goes around and looks absolutely fabulous. And that's because it's full of molten metal that you don't want to set. A standard one there. Acrobat wagon. The whole thing spins and they just tumble around on the inside of that circle. The lovely fish transport, which is actually full of penguins who have eaten all of the fish. So yeah, that's a fun one as well. All available on my trains playlist. And then I think there's a caboose hidden under there, and everyone's favourite, the working pump wagon. And the best thing about that is having the spring-loaded legs with the springs removed, so they move with gravity while it's going around. So it adds even more realism to it. So those are absolutely awesome. Right, let's have a quick spin of the trains, and then we'll go over to the second standing hole. Now, one thing I'm going to do on my new cargo train line is give them a little bit more space, because although it's very fun having everything missing by an absolute fraction of a tile, colliding with all sorts of bridges, tunnels and so on, it is an absolute nightmare when something has an erratic sort of bump once in a while and everything gets kind of dislodged and moved and starts catapulting around on its own. So I am going to, in the new city, give them a bit more space just on the cargo line, because that is the one where we've got all these different shapes and motion and all the rest of it, and it's already under terrific pressure already with all that weight underneath the number of locomotives. And I hope also to be able to spread out the locomotive power, because at the moment it's all from the front on each one of these. Spread it out along the length, because I'll have much better line of sight for my infrared receivers in the new city, and that is, well, a function of using the infrared system that I do because of all of the rechargeable batteries. So yeah, you imagine how many I'd go through if they weren't rechargeable. So yeah, that I'm really looking forward to indeed. And with slightly wider radius corners as well, radius 50 rather than radius 40, then may find the corners a lot easier as well. So yeah, fantastic. Love my long cargo trains. Well, one of the things I like most about Lego is collecting really interesting and diverse pieces, but sometimes they're quite hard to utilise in the city. So what I did was design a Lego mall to incorporate all those weird pieces by designing, well, around them, or in some cases some sticker sheets. So we've got a lovely ET, for example, as part of a 3D sign with a Duplo phone inside and all sorts of other phone related pieces to make a phone store, a vinyl store with all of the video tiles and so on to represent those old covers, a Happy World, which was probably my favourite build ever, to be honest, with loads and loads of 1x1 round plates, being all of the balls of the ball pool that loads of kids are just diving into, and we'll see the very unhappy parents waiting for their charges around the side. Then the tiki bar, which is a great way of using a lovely awning here and loads of colourful tiki or islander sort of orientated pieces. And my favourite part of that is definitely the recessed Saturday Night Fever dance floor, which is lower down than the rest, all lit up beautifully from below. And that looks absolutely great with the stairway up and the maitre d' over there. And there are those parents that are kind of regretting their decision, I think, to have children, but just because they're overexcited and screaming. Then underneath there, we've got a travel store, which got some lovely mini builds on the sign there, and some interesting tiles for the earth and the compass. And on the insides of these are absolutely rammed to the gills, so you'll have to look at that series. We've also got a very interesting piece with a hole in it, which came from the Dimensions sets. That is where the stairway goes up to the noodle bar, where Pigsy is a statue holding all his fare, and that looks absolutely great. And another one of my favourites is using these old Junior panel pieces saying AIR, which I've called Alternative Information Radio, with a lovely radio beacon on the roof being tapped into by the SSP. And that is where Clint Rage tells all of the population of Brick Nottingham what to think, with loads of conspiracy theories, like the fact that there are turtles in the sewer, or or maybe that Dr. Inferno is building a mech. None of it true, of course. And then another one of my favourites is right at the bottom there, that skate shop with all the cutout stickers in the windows, all of those skateboards as decor and for sale on the inside with a mini ramp. And yeah, that is an absolutely great build. Every single surface using something very interesting, and loads of lovely scenes on the outside as well, such as somebody finding out that they've become a father. So yeah, that is a great build, and we'll have to do loads more of those. And I love the fact that it's really joined up with the monorail system for the trams as well. I really like having all of my sets kind of overlapping and joining together rather than just having them all side by side. Nice advert there for the airport on the side of that sweat. Another one for Duke Kaboom, just an interesting panel. Then we get to the airport over here. And this is something I think I'll have more room to expand in the new city. We've got a very interesting interior, which I can very quickly lift off the roof to show you, with the baggage in and baggage out, a ticket vendor and a gate. And I just love the sky bridge. Let me just put that back. I love the sky bridge onto the facade of an aircraft there. Everything you need to see, but nothing you don't, taking up far too much space if it was there in its entirety. A lovely active control tower with somebody who's having a bit of a panic on the inside. Loads of crows on the roof. And another one of my favourites, just this plane newly taking off, just coming out of the wall at an amazing angle with its landing gear still out, just about to be retracted to go on its journey. And then on the other side, we've got all of the baggage handling people and so on and some lovely scenes on the outside, like somebody who touched the electrified fence, who's been now turned into a charred skeleton. Some street art with the Louvre pyramid. We've got the pilot there flirting with the stewardesses behind there. We've even got John McClane, who is at the airport waiting for his wife. So nothing bad will happen here. And all sorts of other scenes in the area as well, including going down into the subway, where we've got all of these ghosts kind of erupting out of this subway entrance or exit, much like a scene from Ghostbusters movie. And that's because below here we've got the haunted subway station. Yes, the haunted subway station is definitely my most irritatingly noisy build, with the front line being the active subway train that goes round the rest of the system and the rest of the city. And at the back there we've got the haunted subway car, which has a demon kind of poking out of the abyss as part of its side. It's also got skeletons all hanging off the front, representing the terrible tragedy that happened in Brick Nottingham many years ago, where there was a horrible incident. And now all of that negative energy, much like in a Ghostbusters movie, is culminating in the character of Neymar Ream, who's the hidden side baddie, and all of these ghosts flying around, eyes in the wall, people coming out of pictures in the back there. That is very interesting. Teeth on all of the pictures, old dead people like on the Ghostbusters movie, where you have this guy in the electric chair, and it's all culminating in a very spooky Ghostbusters Halloween-y type scene. And yeah, that poor train is trapped on that second redundant old line on the back there. But coming to the rescue are the Ghostbusters on the near platform, who've come down to sort it all out. And they still haven't managed that, but it is a wonderful scene. And in the new city I'll be incorporating this as well, but also adding a third subway full station, so we can have a different thing going on apart from the regular one and this haunted one. Yeah, I absolutely love this. A masterpiece. Oh, and if you're interested, the reason why it is going to and fro uninterrupted is because it is using the coloured tiles on the floor. See those green sections there? And that is using a Duplo train base, would you believe, rather than some fancy IR sensors. It's all incorporated into the Duplo train base, and that's why it's making that horrible noise. Well, above there and past another coffee shack, continuing that repeating theme, we've got the inside of the sushi restaurant with its carousel and very talented sushi chefs, and the sumo dojo, I suppose you'd call it, wouldn't you? I love that bionicle kind of shield piece on the back wall there in the oval window with that red and black patterning on. That looks really good fun as well. And, oh, golly, we've got a ninja on the top. I wonder who he's after with his flying, throwing stars. Yeah, that looks very scary indeed. Then we've got next to that the back of the Honeyduke Sweet Shop, which is a bit less eventful on the inside, where our tram line gets cut off by the standing hole. That is also a facade of sorts. Our graffiti artist hard at work on the back of the arcade there, which has one of my favourite scenes of the entire city. We've got the pinball wizard who's been playing pinball and has just got his high score, but while he was distracted, a young lad picked up his magical staff and accidentally turned his friend into a frog. So there's the frog and the empty clothing, and I think that is an absolutely great scene. I love that one a great deal. Another thing I love around here is the Pac-Man orientated sign for that arcade, using 3 of these sort of splat pieces that you can fire using a disc shooter with some hidden side eyes stuck on it to represent the ghosts after Pac-Man, of course. So that is a really good sign if you ask me. And then next to that is the GBC factory in all of its glory. It took me absolutely ages to design this because, well, it's got to function as well. So if I turn it on here at the bottom, we will see the machine endlessly producing ginormous balls for the Ginormous Ball Corp. and they fly along this moving conveyor with the robot arms and then get split two different ways by the seesaw. One way goes down the green path via the outdoor sort of balcony window, which tests them outside. This is all testing to check they're right for sale. Or down the blue ramp, and all of these flaps here, more quality control. Got to go down through some grey piping, and then the bobble board into the waiting van below, where they definitely stop and don't get recycled back into a conveyor to come back up to the top. No, it is endlessly producing them and just filling that van forever. But that is a great tribute, I think, to GBC, the giant ball contraptions that many talented builders make, and they're much more intricate than this. And I just thought I wanted to reflect something to do with that sort of Lego sub-community in my city, and I really enjoy doing it, getting a very complicated idea of something quite different that is not particularly my forte, and seeing it through to the end was very satisfying indeed. So that was a Lego idea submission, but yeah, it didn't grab the imagination of the voters. Anyway, on the back of the next building, which is the art museum, you can see inside all the modern art pieces, reflecting real life art, like Damien Hirst's Shark in Formaldehyde, or dot painting, Mondrian's artwork, Tracy Emin's Unmade Bed, The Girl with the Pearl Earring, The Laughing Cavalier, all inside under the watchful gaze of the security guards, who aren't doing a very good job because an art thief has stolen one and has catapulted her grappling hook right up to the top of the next building, which is the hospital, with a taking off helicopter, and lots of interesting scenes across all of its floors. That's why I love these open back buildings. We've got one of the imaging departments with the bearded tech on the top, lots of wards with some very ill-looking people using sort of alien heads or zombie heads or whatever. The granny doesn't like it in there, that's for sure. So they're on all the different floors, and people on crutches and so on. We've got the reception there with an ill person and a very happy looking surgeon, the shop, the ambulance bay, and then a few of my favourite little departments for specialisations. We've got the MRI machine with the patient going into that. We've got the happiest man in the Lego City, the proctologist, who very much loves his job, and just by removing the hand off the Lego minifigure's arm, you can basically assume it's in anywhere. So I'm reliably informed that that is a test that can be done via blood test now, but not in Lego cities. They enjoy doing it the old-fashioned way, it seems, here. Then we've got a maternity ward there with loads of little babies in their incubators. And then we've got the surgical room here, the operating theatre, where a very badly injured person is being put together with bionics to create a bionic man. So that is absolutely fabulous as well. On the other side of the road, past the mall, we've got another coffee shack, continuing that sort of recurring theme yet again. 4 taxis in a taxi rank to add to the 3 that we've got on a different taxi rank outside the airport. And then my first successful ideas contribution being Fast Food Corner, which is a nice modular building, which is probably why it didn't get picked, with a fast food restaurant on the corner. So that's why I called it Fast Food Corner, with its holy trinity of fast food, the milkshake, fries and burger, making up its 3D sign. And the windows are some old junior set panels. Next to that, we've got a chemist, not a dispensary. We've got an outdoor adventure store full of all sorts of climbing and camping equipment. My favourite part of that, if we lift off the lid, is the 2-floor climbing wall, which looks really great. It occupying all of those top 2 floors with the canoe and the raft and the full-size tent on the inside there, amongst all the other stuff. And then we've got the pawnbroker with its very traditional 3-ball sign next built into the side there, and that's called Ronin's, I think, isn't it? Yeah, that looks really good as well. A traditional build based on the Harry Potter set. Then next to that, we've got the bookstore and the cycle lane and the police building, modular. And that one is quite interesting because The top floor has been commandeered by the super secret police with their flying car, and inside there is probably my favourite subscriber suggestion, being a interrogation room that actually has proper one-way glass. I got a small sample of the film to make glass one way, and it actually works. So that is a really, really, really good build, if you ask me. Then we've got the container sort of area for transporting all of the produce from the train onto the road with the racking there. We saw that last time. And then the first of the buildings of what I like to call Calamity Street, because, well, there's a lot going on this street that is untoward. And the first set of that is the first team of Alien Conquest aliens that have actually managed to get all the way to the space tower. Some are guarding the outside, and some are on the in the lift on the way up. And there's all sorts of interesting space-orientated scenes in there, but those people are up to try and rescue the alien commander. And then we've got the sort of moon environment in a glass bubble on the top, and then a very large array on the top of that, pilfered from a Death Star, no doubt. So that is a very interesting build. I just love the lift on the outside of that one. It looks really interesting. Then, arguably the pièce de résistance for this sort of neighbourhood is what was the Daily Bugle, but heavily modified, higher and open-backed, to make the Brick Nottingham Post building. And the best thing about this is its absolutely ridiculously silly sign, being super, super long along the theme of the old one, and it's been bashed into and is almost broken off with that post word hanging on by a thread. And this one is being attacked by all of not Dr. Inferno, by antimatters, yes, mob, for the Ultra Agents baddies. And there's a lot of action there. He is smashing through the window rather than the Green Goblin here on his dish, firing rockets at what looks like the hospital. Golly, that's a bit nasty, isn't it? And all of his minions are flying around. There's Inferno, and there's Cyclone, golly, Electrolyzer, you're testing me here, and up down the fire escape and round the floor with the mech and Toxicita, and yeah, all sorts down there. Terabyte, yeah, I think that's all of them. And they're smashing through the front of that as well. The foyer is no more because there is Tremor tank smashing its way through all the way onto the street. So yeah, two really big seismic events, quite literally, happening next door to each other. And talking of seismic events, who have we missed out? Yeah, it's this guy in the huge Drill-X machine coming out of the roadway. And that is another sort of facade where I've chopped off the back of that driller machine so it looks like it's just cresting out of that street scene, which is actually quite clever as well, because I needed to move half the road on this side, half a base plate towards me. So it's actually a diagonal section of road you wouldn't immediately notice from a distance, but it's been quite well done, if I do say so myself. And maybe it's something that will make it into the new city, but I imagine with all the space, we won't need it to. So anyway, we'll have to see how that goes. So then some art on the street there, and another calamity scene being the three minis of the Italian job leaping out of the subway where they've been using the tunnels for their escape from presumably a bank heist, if it's anything like the movie. Then we've got the Ferrari Tower, which is the Leaning Tower of Ferrari. I absolutely love the sign on the top of that, being the prancing horse, being a real horse piece, and a Ferrari Formula One racing car. And well, it was either designed like that because they did a bit of a poor job, or maybe it's subsidence caused by the Drill-X machine, who knows, but it's quite fun to call it the Leaning Tower of Ferrari. And that's got loads of design teams and tech testing and so on, all on the inside of that as well. So that is absolutely full to the gills as well. Then we've got a row of modulars. On this side being the Jazz Club, the museum, the recent one, and the Grand Emporium, which I call the Grand Emporium and Casino because on the inside of mine, on the top floor, we have a full casino with roulette table, cards, and all the rest. Also along this side we have our lovely yellow bus station, quite low profile, but I really like the angle that the buses are coming in on, using all of those diagonal tiles that you can get nowadays. Looking pretty good if you ask me. It almost is ripe for an expansion, but as you know, I do like to keep as much diversity in the city as I can by basically limiting the size of any one thing. Another example of that is the botanical garden. I think I could have gone about 5 times the size and it would have been even grander, but in doing that, you just use up a lot more space that could be used for other ideas. So yeah, I'll just keep it small and sweet. So there we go, that is those two. And our final area that was going to be filled, which never will now. Aww. But probably the biggest project that has taken the most time, the most videos, and, well, the most effort, blood, toil, sweat and tears has been the fairground, in that it is 100% motorised. There are 21 motors in all of this setup, and they can go all at once, and the majority of them have all of their workings hidden underneath. So all you get is a very low profile ride like this space spinner, or even like this bull ride. I mean, there's no workings on the surface at all, and it's all hidden in a 3 brick depth cavity underneath. So whether it's the Wheel of Fortune or the frog, sort of Smash a Frog game, they all move wonderfully independently, all wired up to hidden battery boxes, which are in the back of my camper vans like this, or this caravan here, or indeed hidden underneath this row of porta potties, which I think are a brilliant way of hiding all the workings. Now, I probably should have said this at the beginning, but yeah, we're running a competition for this tour. We're doing a Spot the Sloth competition, so if you can see him, do shout out. But yeah, and he's riding the Mixer, which is the first time we've actually seen this in the city. It's something I've had to one side for a long time. It was basically deciding whether to use this in the city or have a great big stage with loads of leaping fans listening to a music concert, and I've gone with this. So that is filling that rather large gap, and it completes the scene rather fantastically. I do think I need to add more people and even more sort of vendors and stuff to this to make it an absolute crowd, a mass. But it is pretty amazing as it stands, from the Ferris wheel and the roller coaster at the back to the other roller coaster, Dodgems, pretty much everyone's favourite, and Carousel at the front. And indeed, in the new city, I've got the Loop coaster as well. But yeah, I think we need to get all of these going, of course, and this is pretty much everyone's favourite, so we'll start with that. Just seeing all of the magnets that move underneath this surface, dragging along the cars, and yeah, everyone likes the one going round and round on its own. Yeah, I've been in one of those. It'll only steer one way, help! So then we can turn on the next set by pressing this canoe, and that's got the duck ride and the saw one here, which is terrifying, and the Ferris wheel, of course. The next set, doing that Mixer, the Carousel, the bull ride, which is my newest one, which looks absolutely awesome. Also the Catch a Duck, Hook a Duck, and the shooting gallery. Small ones in there. Then if we do the first of the porta potties, we've got the Space Spinner, the Wheel of Fortune, the Splat a Frog, and the Venus Fly Drop. And then the next one, we've got the Spinny Chair Ride, the Ninjago Ride, and the Funny Octopus Ride. And then last but not least, we have the big roller coaster, the Pirate roller coaster, which has just decided at this moment to stop. There we go. The Ice Queen Ride, and the Rocket Ride back there. So if you can still hear me talking, that is the sound of 21 motors going and 21 rides. And I'll try and capture as much of that as I can in one shot. Look at that. Absolutely amazing. Oh, we've had a bit of a congestion at the Dodgems as well. One's obviously lost its magnet in the excitement. but that is pretty amazing. Okay, well, I realised during that last shot that we had a couple of failures. One being the congestion on the Dodgems, which is now rectified, hopefully, yes. But the other one being the pirate ship, which wasn't rocking, but now it is. And there is the entire fairground in all of its whirling glory. Wow, that is absolutely amazing. And we finish our tour in the far corner where we have got the Airport Hilton, a very simple facade building, but a very effective one, which is the host to a Comic-Con, which has got about a dozen people waiting outside. We always said that the actual venue was around the corner, but maybe in the new city we'll have enough space to include that and have dozens more of people attending that. So over here we go straight into the countryside and the cattle grid and the welcome home arch that brings us to Far Corner Farm, and I absolutely love this setup. It's very beautiful, and another really good example of using the walls to your advantage. We've actually got two crop fields here, one of corn, which has somebody making a crop circle in it, as aliens will, and the other one being wheat right up against the side there, with enough space for the harvester to be ploughing through, picking up all that lovely grain, with a suggestion that that field goes on and on into the distance. But the farmyard animals and the farmyard buildings are absolutely great, and I love that. So it's a bit of a transition from the city into the countryside, but it's a very worthwhile one that I think is absolutely great, with a hiker, a vet with its hand up a pig. Yes, I know, I've done that twice now. And all sorts of tractors and goats and animals and all the rest of it. Broken down tractors. It is a real show. But I think the best bit, which takes us almost back to the beginning of part one of the tour, is the inclusion of another UFO from the Alien Conquest line, beaming up a poor farmer. Well, it was either going to be that or a cow, wasn't it? So yeah, he is being sucked up to be abducted. Poor fellow. And that just adds to where we started, with all of our aliens in that corner of the ceiling, with, wow, loads of aircraft all over the place as well. So, wow, that is the tour of Brick Nottingham. And, wow, we've had such an amazing time here. It's very emotional, as I said earlier, to leave this now. But I think we are on to bigger and greater things. So basically, it needn't be a sad story, even though, yeah, I'm welling up a little. Yeah, I'll be honest. But you know, we've got a lot more adventures to come in the coming weeks, months, and years in the new Lego room, which is bigger, is better. And we've even got blue paint on the walls, which was a criticism I had of this city. We'll be able to have clouds and all sorts of stuff like that. And even more subway, much more trains, and yeah, loads of space for more and more builds. So yeah, long may Brick Nottingham continue. Well, I've long had my sightseeing bus full of all of you from all around the world joining me on my Lego journey. And I want to say a special thanks to all of you, viewers, subscribers, Patreon supporters, channel members, who've made this all possible. It definitely isn't a possibility to do a city on this scale without some serious love, encouragement and support. So as always, thank you very much for watching. Thanks for joining me on this lovely two-part tour. It is appreciated. Do remember to like, comment and subscribe for more awesome Lego videos in the new city. And if you value these channels, there are many ways in which you can support them. Do check out the links in the description below. And next time on Robin Hood Bricks, I think I'll be ripping out all of the subway and, well, trying to get it all running on a much bigger system in the new city. So, yeah, join me for that. That's going to be killer exciting. Until then, see you! Oh, it's going to be a shame to move, but it's going to be better.